Hello and welcome back to Bills and Business. I'm your host, Laura Carr, co-founder of USLege, where we dive into the intersections of business, government, and innovation. Today's episode, we're talking about one of the biggest moves in the Texas innovation economy, the Texas Venture Alliance, and what's brewing this May at the Texas Venture Gala, bringing together business leaders, investors, policymakers to drive the Lone Star State's innovation future. So first up, I am thrilled to welcome back a familiar face, Glenn Hammer, the CEO of the Texas Association of Business. He is a fierce advocate for Texas entrepreneurs and economic leadership. And then later we will sit down with the powerhouse herself, CS Freeland, the founder of the Texas Venture Alliance. So we're going to dive deep into her work championing innovation across Texas. Let's jump right in.
Glenn, it is lovely to have you back on. Always a pleasure.
I love being on your podcast, Laura. You're the best.
You're the best. No, I told you this before, but my grandma says that you are just her favorite guest and she wants to listen to your podcast. So actually,
I want to say hi to Grandma.
She'll be at our Signy Die party if you're able to make it.
I'm there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for being a sponsor, actually.
Well, our pleasure.
I'm very, very grateful for that. And she'll be at the party, so.
Well, I'll tell Grandma what a great product you put together. I live on it, testified a number of times today, and boom, we use your product and we get it out to the universe. Thank you.
For sure. You're always up on the screen, so I'm impressed. Thanks for being here now in your busy time of session. And you're in the midst of helping coordinate this gala and this event with CS. So I would love to know more about your involvement and how you're tied in.
Well, first of all, CS Freeland is a visionary. And what she has done is she has put together the state's largest innovation network. And for us as a chamber, for us to be successful in terms of advocacy and stitching the entire state of Texas together, it's very important that we reach these different chambers and economic development corporations. And CS, through the Texas Venture Alliance, is now part of the DNA of our chambers. In fact, she is going to be speaking at the next big Texas Chamber of Commerce executive event in Denton in June. This will be her third time in a row. Now, Laura, I have to say I'm a little bit jealous. They skipped me last year. I'll be back this year, but they skipped me last year.
How could they do that though?
But she's one of the few speakers that back to back to back. And it's because, and the reason why is all the chambers across the state want to figure out how they can help their members innovate. And that's where CS Freeland's incredible network comes in.
So how did you and CS get connected originally?
I believe it was at an Austin Venture Alliance event, I believe. There's some dispute whether or not it was at the Texas Association of Business on our rooftop where we meet a lot of people, or it was on a boat.
It must have been some kind of boat.
So we're still not sure, but CS had a great reputation in terms of what she put together. And in fact, one of the events she put together included the current mayor of Austin. So, she has a knack also of just attracting A-list speakers, and the gala coming up is no exception. This will probably be the first major event that I can think of in terms of from a business organization in the state of Texas that will be hosting a cabinet member from the Trump administration. So it's a huge deal that Kelly Loeffler, the new administrator for the SBA, will be a keynote speaker.
And Glenn, correct me, you were the founding chairman of the Texas Venture Alliance?
I don't know if I'm the founding chairman. I'm the chairman right now, and it's a great honor to serve as the chair. But Laura, this gala better go well, because she runs a tight ship, or I will be out like you can't believe.
Wow. Well,
I could see you as the next chair.
Very well. I'm hearing it going very well.
It's going really well. The quality of the speakers, the great VCs throughout Texas, and the Texas Venture Fest was awesome. I mean, 20 cities, 20 venues, including an international venue, Mexico City.
Yes.
So I was in Mexico City and we hosted a Texas Venture Fest. And Laura, we had Mayor Cowan from Brownsville there. We had international dignitaries from Mexico and Canada. It was packed to the gills. So, I know the CS has ambitions perhaps to go beyond Texas. Who knows? You may also see more international activity as well.
We will be watching this space. And we're talking in a different capacity to usual, in your usual, CEO capacity. So can you tell us a little bit more just what the Venture Alliance is and what it really means for Texas?
Well, why this is so important, Texas is ahead of the curve on so many different things. We've won the Governor's Cup for economic development 13 years in a row. CEO Magazine has ranked us a top place for business 20 straight years. Adriana Cruz, who runs Governor Abbott's economic development platform, does a brilliant job bringing the whole state together. But an area where Texas has some work to do is in the venture side. The fact is right now, Silicon Valley is number one.
Sure. And
I'm a competitive guy. New York might arguably be 2 and Massachusetts might be number 3. Lord, we're going to smash them. I'm a native New Yorker, and I spent a long time in, I call it really West Texas. That's Arizona. All right.
That is really far West Texas.
I don't want my Arizona friends to get upset. But it's very important that in some of the areas that are merging, like AI, like defense tech, like semiconductors, like cyber, there's a real opportunity for Texas to lead. And, any market that California, New York, or Massachusetts, or Illinois are ahead of us in, I want to help be part of the team that changes that. And Lauren, I'm excited, as we speak, there's going to be, I would expect massive new investment in the film industry in the state of Texas. And that's because our competitive juices get going. When we hear about Hollywood, let's have more shows and commercials and movies filmed here.
Yeah, I saw Matthew McConaughey testify a few weeks back. That was a big hit at the Capitol.
I missed that one, and I'm sort of disappointed as a big fan. But what I love in terms of what CS has put together is that she's building this network. So maybe we're still not where California is in total venture, but where I would argue we're ahead right now is bringing the innovation community together on a statewide basis. Lauren, no other state has done this. And I have a pretty good line of sight on this because for many years, not many years, but about 4 years, I chaired the U.S. Chambers Committee 100. That's the top 100 chambers across the country. I also been very active with my chamber brothers and sisters and another group that brings together chamber CEOs. And no state has what CS has put together. In fact, if you really Google it, Arizona has more or less copied what she has put together in an attempt to bring together the innovation network. And I'll just pull, we're all proud Texans. And yeah, I got here as fast as I can from Arizona, and people who know me, I'm just a Jewish guy from the Bronx who had a bad sense of direction and wound up in Arizona instead of Florida. And now I'm in Texas and blessed to be here. But we're all Americans. And you think about the great power competition. It's the United States versus China. And for the United States to win, we need the entire country to be joined together. And CS uses this word more often than I do, but to reindustrialize and to innovate. And I really believe that the model that CS Freeland has put together is the model for the whole country. And I'm really delighted that she's now a U.S. Chamber Fellow, because I know that they're looking at this model and thinking about how it could potentially be scaled.
That's exciting. And I totally agree with you on competition. It's what keeps it going here in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, while we want to be competitive, obviously, with New York, Illinois, and Massachusetts, look, it's not that difficult because those states, as you know, do such a great job of destroying their business environment. So, as we improve, they do things that deteriorate their ability to compete. But I want them to basically model the Texas model, simply for the United States to be a healthier country. And, and in all seriousness, we all have, we live in a great country. There's 50 great states. We all have things to learn from each other. And, to have the chance to chair something that I believe is best in class in the Texas Venture Alliance, it's a point of pride. So I'm excited about the next gala. It has A-list speakers, and it's going to be a great show. And Last thing I'll say about this, CS has something, I don't have this. She has taste. Steve Jobs has taste. I have zero taste.
What do you mean?
No, I have zero taste. And it's fun to be at her events because there's always something special, and she puts her own DNA in it. So I'll also enjoy it in a human capacity. And I know all the people that are joining will have that same experience.
Well, I get that as well from her. Now, this may be a silly question.
Sure.
How does the Venture Alliance differ from a chamber or a specific city chamber or state chamber?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would say that it's the chamber of innovation.
Okay.
So, chambers, really good chambers, with permission, mix and match and steal good programs from one another. What CS has been able to do with her Venture Fest is a number of chambers and economic development corporations have basically taken her blueprint and they use it, and they get a lot of good feedback from the public, the media, and their members. The other way, Laura, and this is really important for us, because as a state chamber, what are we really? We're an advocacy group at the end of the day. And as the chair, I've been able to testify on a number of very important bills to say that the innovation community in Texas is behind them. For example, continuing the R&D tax credit, which is absolutely essential for Texas to be a leading state in innovation. The Texas Venture Alliance supports and has helped get the word out to its members. Artificial intelligence. And by the way, all of my comments were prepared by me, not by my new best friend forever, Grok 3. But CS has been really good in using her network, her amazing network, her newsletter, her LinkedIn, to get out important information about artificial intelligence legislation. And Laura, I do believe in part because of her efforts, we're going to have a good bill that gets through, that will encourage acceleration, innovation, and the expansion of energy we need to be the leading state for AI.
And we're seeing, money getting pumped into a lot of industries from this. Yeah. I had Norman Garza from the Space Commission on the other week, and they have got this huge new initiative and fund for these, space companies. So are you seeing anything on the political side mixed with the VC and, startups at all?
Absolutely. Space is incredibly important piece of this, and Norman Garza has done a great job. And the fact is it's not yet functional in terms of a place for an actual Venture Fest, but you did start the Texas Venture Association. And, again, it's really bringing together the innovation community around these areas that Texas is putting a stake in the ground. Space is one, semiconductors, AI, cyber. So, in terms of space, I think that this is going to be a really good one for the innovators in Texas. I mean, obviously we have incredible legacy in terms of NASA, and now a SpaceX and Starbase, the newest Texas town, being the gateway to Mars. That's awesome. We have Firefly in the Round Rock area. So this is an area where innovation, and I would argue the Texas Venture Alliance will play a very big role in the years to come.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining, Glenn. And is there anything else you want to add about the Texas Venture Alliance or the gala coming up?
Well, I would again encourage all viewers to attend. Laura, I really appreciate your support and your sponsorship, and it will enrich us in terms of our knowledge of venture and innovation in Texas. And at the same time, we're going to have a great time.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait to hang out with everybody. Good group you put together.
I'll wear boots, and I'll try to put on the cowboy hat the right way this time.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on the show, Glenn.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Well, for those who don't know UCS, would love to know a little bit more about you and your background. Have you been doing anything during session that would impact you with your work? Because I know it's government and tech overlapping. So
yeah, we thought that was a really important piece with Texas Venture Alliance, just to be an open door between our government friends, startup investors, startups. And that was the first thing that we launched with a couple of years ago, was even just having a newsletter that highlights if there's a letter of support, something that we sign and stick our logo on. Even having the legislators know that we're here, and we do a big gala and events and stuff like that. And so there's definitely a couple bills going on right now, which are very exciting. And to stay plugged into it, we have a website, Texas Venture Alliance. And yeah, even at the federal level, there's stuff that we get involved with even more now. So yeah,
So tell me more, about the Texas Venture Alliance. What is it?
Yeah, it really got founded because I started in a hyperlocal capacity at a venture association here in Austin, just kind of convening the community, being supportive for entrepreneurs and investors. The context is that so many new startup investors came to Austin, and we really see that all over Texas. So I ran the local organization for about 1.5 years as their founding executive director. And then after that, we saw the opportunity to go statewide and be a resource for, the very massive surface area that Texas has, connecting, Brownsville and El Paso, not just Houston and Dallas and Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the premise of it. And again, being an open door and seeing our government friends as an ecosystem of startup support too.
That's so exciting and so entrepreneurial of you that you started this.
Thanks.
What is your story and your background before starting this venture?
Well, I spent the majority of last decade at a venture studio, and so helped to do the go-to-market launch plans for the early stage, mostly tech companies, and did that for about 7 years. And then again, since pandemic, there's just been so many new startup investors. I've spent some time at an accelerator. I've been in an angel network, and now I guess 2 venture associations. And, in one long breath, that's pretty much my background, mostly in startups and venture.
And government as well. Do you mind adding a little color to that? I know.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. That's a great point. And I think that's the opportunity in the market too, not just here in Austin or growing across the state, but really the country too, being some connective tissue. I think that we see this at the highest levels of government now, which is exciting for, again, this ecosystem of startup support. So I just became a U.S. Chamber Fellow. And learning from, chambers of all sizes, and how do we help these business hubs all across the state to be supportive of entrepreneurship and these really special types of small businesses. So yeah.
That's exciting. And you started with a newsletter and an event. Do you mind sharing about all of the great events you're hosting across Texas and the big one that's coming up, your big gala?
Yeah, investors, accelerators, incubators, angel networks, family offices, even startups themselves. We have a lot of networking events. And so just having a resource every month, basically the Texas Venture newsletter, to show who all's here, who's investing in what. There's so many events and, a lot of great, podcasts and blogs and other newsletters, and just so much information, which is really great. We've never seen this, really in Texas history or Austin for that matter. And so scaling that newsletter across the state was really important because we can get to a lot of these major metros in a couple hours. And, we're all under the Texas family. So I think the high level vision of Texas Venture Alliance was that we're all Texas. So we've always had sort of like a startup crawl in Austin, Texas, which really takes up a little bit more than half the venture capital activity that the whole state does. So with all the new investors, I thought that it would be important to have like a venture crawl. And we started with all the prominent and the kind of like OG Texas venture capital firms.
Can I ask a question real quick? Mm-hmm. Is it bar crawl?
It is. It's like a bar crawl. We're speaking the same language. Yeah. So there's a bar crawl. And then we started doing that for startups. And startups would basically host all these events and in one big area. And then I was like, wait, we should make the VCs pay for it. Because now we actually have a lot more VCs and more venture folks, this whole ecosystem. And so we turned it into a venture crawl in Austin. And then I just kind of went across the state and I went to our friends in Houston and Dallas, everywhere. And I was like, we are going to continue having this in Austin. But if you want to have, something on the same day, we could actually make this a thing and we'll rebrand it Texas. So that's kind of how it got started the next year after that. And so long story short, the last Texas Venture Fest, we ended up calling it a fest because it's mostly just a crawl in Austin, ended up being almost 20 different venues and then 15 different cities. So it's a big Texas moment. It's a celebration of entrepreneurship. And it kind of felt like, really inspirational too, because we're all Texas. So 6 months from that, we basically have everyone convene under one roof, which is the Texas Venture Gala. And there's a forum during the day, and we highlight some of the more prominent gala guests. And it'll be our second annual one coming up pretty soon on May 29th. So yeah, it's really exciting. And that's about 300 or so people. And Texas Venture Fest is usually around 3,000. We're going to have definitely over 3,000 people in October. It'll be October 2nd, 2025. I'm like, wait, which fest or what year are we in?
I know, 2025, crazy. We've had a lot of progress, and we're really excited to come to the event and sponsor. And
thank you for sponsoring. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We're going to have a lot of fun with it.
We're definitely going to have fun. I'm excited to chat more about speaking and who's going to be there and what we can talk about and getting people, like-minded people together. You're a Texan, so you've seen Texas change a lot.
Almost Texan. I was born in
Dallas,
San Jose, California.
Okay. I don't know why I thought Dallas, but you grew up in Dallas?
I mostly grew up in Dallas. Yeah, I went, from basically first grade up into high school, then went to Texas State University in San Marcos. But yeah, I'm pretty Texan. I wear the boots, and I say y'all a lot. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you're the perfect blend then, California, Texas.
Yeah. I got here as soon as I could. That's what they all say.
That's perfect. That's like my husband. He's in the same boat. It's very welcomed. So how have you seen it change across the state as far as like the community, the investor community specifically?
Man, well, two parts. It's kind of interesting because we talk about like growing up in Dallas. I now work with the Arlington EDC and friends with Fort Worth Chamber and like all these like cities in the Metroplex area. They call it like Dallas, Fort Worth, North Texas region. And so it's really interesting. I just thought about that like right now. Even having meetings and stuff it was good. I grew up in a small town, so it's actually kind of crazy that we work with a lot of these folks now. From the venture capital perspective, we have been seen as like, Austin included in Texas, sort of like a flyover region, and most of the venture capital activity just overlooks Texas, which is the opportunity for an organization like Texas Venture Alliance to. And this is how I personally feel. Like if you want to attract more of something, you should already be positive and accentuate the good that you already have. And so it'll be easier to attract. So, we have to think about, we have started to attract a lot more venture capital and startups too. It's both. We need both, obviously. And culturally, it's changed so much. It really felt like a sleepy town maybe 5 years ago. Oh, wait, we're in 2025. So like 6 years ago, it started to feel like a sleepy town. But yeah, that's how it felt. And that's kind of, where we're at right now. It's been happening super fast. And I think that Texas will continue to attract a lot more venture capital. And you know what? Because I see and hear all this stuff, and we put this in the newsletter, actually, this quarter, every single major metro in Texas has seen a little bit of an uptick of venture capital activity. I put this together in a newsletter today. Houston, Dallas, and Austin. Austin had a great quarter. So that's good,
In comparison with the country, do you know where that is?
I think we're just behind. Oh, I should have ran my numbers, but we're just behind Boston now. Okay. It goes, Silicon Valley does like 10x the amount of venture capital. Surprisingly, New York, and it's really New York City, like the city actually still does a couple more billion in venture capital than the entire state.
Right.
Well, let me just check the numbers on it. But it's really interesting that this shift is happening. So yeah.
So we're third now?
We would be third. No, wait. We'd be fourth.
Is Miami?
It'd be no. Miami is actually just under Austin. It basically goes.
Interesting.
But what's going on here is this is what's happening. Like we kind of compare Silicon Valley is a bunch of cities too, by the way, to New York City mostly. I mean, of course, New York State, but we're mostly talking about New York City. And then when we'll talk about Austin, but we're actually comparing apples and oranges here. And then Boston does more than Austin does, just barely. And that's a lot of like the life sciences, the R&D. So, but we're starting to attract some of that here. And then Miami comes next, actually. I think it kind of fell off a little bit, but these numbers it just feels like time. We're actually just talking about a couple of years here. So in hindsight, it'll just be like, oh yeah, things were just really crazy, but we're just like living it. We're thinking about it every quarter. I mean, it'll just kind of disappear. And when we back out, we'll see like, no, Austin and Texas has grown substantially. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and we can feel it. There's a buzz there. Everybody's moving here.
Yeah, there's more energy to it.
Do you feel, this is just your hot take, but Austin's becoming the next Silicon Valley?
It would never be. It just won't be. We don't, maybe in a long, long time. It's just completely apples and oranges. And, it's kind of like different money. It's different mindset too. And I'll just put it like that. It's different money. It's different mind. So, but one of the biggest trends in venture capital that we're seeing, and what we're going to speak about a lot at the gala, is this reindustrialization. And we call it American dynamism and like a Texas flavor of that. And, that's space, that's defense tech, it's advanced manufacturing. It's all very exciting. And Texas has naturally organic stories of this state that's just conducive to building that type of new technology in those industries here. So.
Oh yeah, it's so exciting to see from across the state. And are you traveling around a lot to these different cities and learning more?
Yeah, luckily I got most of it. I did a lot of it last summer, 2 summers ago. I was like all over the state. And man, I've always considered myself pretty Texan, but really you're not Texan probably, or you're not as Texan if you don't go see like this, I call it like a country, like this big, beautiful country of Texas, like, going out to Odessa, going to, which is very, very different from Austin, which is very different from Dallas. It's very different from Houston and the Hill Country and, the border, El Paso and Brownsville. And I'm like, man, you could fit so many different states and you can kind of fit different countries too inside of Texas. And so it was an awesome summer, I would say. I put a lot of mileage on the car, like literally, figuratively, just a lot of mileage, but it was really great to be Texan. Yeah.
It's an amazing place. I mean, not growing up here, getting here as fast as I could, as a lot of people say.
Yeah. Where are you from?
The UK. So I was born and raised in England.
Oh yeah, I could tell by the accent.
I know. Obviously, sorry to disappoint. I know. I do. I get that. Like, what? Where's the accent? I need it. I know. My mother's from Dallas and my father is from the UK. So my dad's got like a Cockney accent. He's a London guy.
Interesting.
Welsh grandparents. And then my mom grew up in Dallas, but was born in Canada. And her parents, my grandparents, are from Germany and England. So we're all just mutts, and we love the US though.
I'm here too. Yeah.
Yeah. We just wanted
cool.
to come here as soon as I could. So my kids will be technically first generation American.
I see.
Yes. Mm-hmm. First people born in the US. So kind of.
That's exciting. Yeah.
But I did a similar trek to you in my old lobby firm that I worked at with my boss. We did a worldwide tour of Texas, and it was to go and meet all the candidates on the campaign trail 2 sessions or a couple sessions ago.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to see because they're so different.
Yeah.
And it's each state, each city is like a different country.
When I went to Texas State University, I mean, there's this beautiful river that goes through the campus. And then visiting the Permian Basin, which does more oil, right? Oil refinery or manufacture or something out there.
Yeah.
More than like Saudi Arabia, like more than Russia. And like even Texans don't really know about that. I'm like, man, this is where it's all happening. Yeah. So good.
That's cool.
Yeah. I would highly recommend the road trip. It's going to be road tripping season pretty soon. So
Far West Texas is my favorite, but it takes so long to get out there, 8 hours. But I love like Lajitas, Terralingua, Marfa.
Oh, yeah.
I love that part of the world.
Yeah, Big Bend.
Magical.
Don't go in July. But
I did that, made that mistake once.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, me too. It was a big mistake. but made it out alive. Yeah, and people don't know, but El Paso is basically, it is in a different time zone. So when we do the Texas Venture Fest, that's the only one that's like a different time, because they're usually all at the same time in one big celebration, but we know it's a little bit different for them.
For sure. Well, going into the gala, what can we expect? You said there's going to be a forum. There'll be the gala itself. So who's going? What's the atmosphere going to be like?
Well, in Texas, we call it a gala.
So many ways. So many ways.
But yeah, the Texas Venture Gala and Forum will be at the W downtown Austin, which is really great because they just renovated, and it's very, sophisticated, and the renovations are incredible. So it's great to bring everyone all under one roof. It'll be around 300 people. And, in the light of, today is actually sort of the kickoff of Small Business Week.
So tell me more about the speakers at the gala and who's going to be coming.
Really exciting. The Small Business Administration Administrator Loeffler is going to be speaking, and
Awesome.
She's our headline keynote for that. And we have the Senator Ted Cruz, who we're super appreciative. He'll be interviewed by Glenn Hammer from TAB, and a lot of other speakers, really phenomenal investor entrepreneurs like Clayton Christopher, he started Waterloo Sparkling Water, Deep Eddy Vodka, Sweet Leaf Tea, and has amazing success with that. And he'll be a really great speaker as well. Tyson Tuttle, who's the former CEO of Silicon Labs, which is an incredible Austin success story, or really they brought the headquarters from California. So that's another great story. And the former mayor of Austin, Steve Adler, he'll be speaking as well. And he's an investor too. So, and there's a lot more, and we'll be continually updating the website on that. So stay tuned.
I know you said there were a lot of media coming and podcasts. Who can we expect to see or listen to that'll be attending?
We can expect you.
I will definitely be there. We'll be there. The sign will be there. We'll be filming some sessions with folks. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, it's important to have the traditional and new media friends there. And so having a partnership and doing press passes is just a part of what our mission is, basically to amplify this ecosystem of entrepreneur support. And so the media is a big part of that too. And so, once again, thank you for your sponsorship. Thank you for your help there. And thank you for helping to amplify an event like that. So it'll be really efficient use of time, and it'll be so much fun. So, yeah.
I'm very excited. I always love to help friends and, fellow female founders. Love that. And of course, Glenn. So we're very excited to partner. So kind of lastly, I guess, what do you see the future of the Texas Venture Alliance becoming? If you can say.
The future could be in two parts.
You can come back on.
Okay. The future is going to be really great. It's easy to scale. It has been easy to scale across Texas because Texans are pretty wonderful to work with, in terms of our community. And they have just such big hearts, and they're able to do big things, and we're able to do big things together, amplified across our network because of them. And so taking that model and using that as a blueprint for the future is what the gala theme is. And so I'm just, excited to use, it was basically our governor's theme of the state of the state, which we're very lucky to have the executive director of his office do a breakfast keynote kickoff again. So she's coming back. That's a good sign.
That's awesome. Yeah, she's great.
She's great, and she's excited about it. And there's a new report, the economic development report that the governor issued for the next 5 years. And we're the only statewide innovation network that was mentioned in it.
Oh, wow.
And so
Congrats.
she'll come talk about that. Yeah, thank you. And she'll be able to talk about that report and give a high level at the very beginning of the day to talk about, entrepreneurs and small business and innovation, and have a special message from the governor on that. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear from Senator Cruz. I know he's been pretty, vocal about supporting innovation, AI specifically. So how many companies would you say were more on the tech side that are in attendance? I know you mentioned a lot of folks on the beverage side, but I'm
yeah.
interested in
Actually,
industry.
way more of the more software, and now some hardware because of the reindustrialization. But I would say it's about half founders, half investors. And from the types of investors, just a full spectrum. Angel investors, limited partners or potential LPs, in venture capital funds, venture capital firms. We'll have some growth equity, and the M&A market. We'll talk about that and what that's like right now. I think that it's important to include university innovation. There are some economic development corporations and some chambers that have non-dilutive grant money, and they see it as a marketing tool to attract the type of companies to their regions. So it'll be a really fun day, and again, full spectrum of types of investors.
Well, like I said, I'll have to have you on after the gala, see how everything went, and talk about your next steps because I'm really excited. I want to watch this space. But anything you want to share with the listeners today on how to find you, how to register, and we do have a promo code for anybody listening. That's USLege 25. If they subscribe, we'll put it in the show notes. But
Yep.
anything else you want to add there?
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a really fantastic moment to have everyone all under one roof. There is a sense of Texas magic that goes on, and really you'll see it for yourself. There's nothing like it. And we do have some Texans for a day who are spies. I'm just saying. And we learn from each other. And yeah, it's really great to have your support and others to co-create this experience. So thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. See you soon.
See you soon.